shy of being halfway through, and I just wanted to once again do a weekly announcements video, just going over the assignments that you should be working on this week, as well as talk a little bit about what you guys completed last week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and here we are on my homepage in Canvas. All my classes are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter which one I select here. I'm going to go ahead and come down. We are in module number 2, and we have just another week or so in this module, and then we're going to be completed. So actually one more week. Now last week, you guys did upload your individual presentation. And so just so you know, I have between the 3 classes close to 90 students that are all turning this in at the same time. So I'm going to do my best to grade anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen a day in each of these classes. However, just so you know, I will not grade your individual presentation until you have first viewed and commented on at least 2 other students' presentations. So that's going to be my kind of my gauge of whether or not I grade yours, is have you viewed and commented on at least 2 other students' presentations. So even if you upload it and you haven't done that yet, I'm not going to grade yours until you've done that. So just keep that in mind. And then once you've done that, you're going to just kind of be added to the list of, to be graded next. And like I said, it takes me a little bit to grade each of these because each one's 5 minutes long, and then I have to make notes. And so you're looking at anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes to grade each one of these. So it doesn't go quickly. So that's why I try and do maybe, 5 to 10 a day, 6 to 12 a day, and that are ready to be graded. And so it'll happen over the course of the next few weeks that all of them will be graded, just so you know. So don't expect me to get right to it. It may take a bit. As long as you've done your part, I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. But anyway, that's the first thing. Last week you had that, and your workload was fairly light. You didn't have a whole lot to do because you were doing that presentation. I wanted to make sure you had time to do that. I gave you 3 weeks to do it. Now you might say, well, I missed doing it. I didn't turn it in yet. Well, I do give everybody a 1-week grace period. So if you didn't turn it in yet, you have 1 more week to do so before I start penalizing you. And I will penalize you 5 points a week till you turn it in. So at this point, you still can get 100 points if you've not turned it in yet. If you haven't turned it in by next Sunday, the most you could get is 95 points, etc. So please turn it in as soon as possible. And this is a required assignment for this course. If you do not do it, you'll automatically be dropped 1 full grade point for not completing it, because this is the only way we can gauge your presentation skills in an online environment, is that you would record and upload a video. If you're having technical difficulties, as long as you've communicated with me, you will not be penalized for being late. But if you're not communicating with me and you're having technical problems, and then you get a hold of me 2 weeks later and say, I'm having technical problems, but you didn't let me know right away. So let me know right away if you need more time because of that, and I will help you hopefully solve some of those technical problems. Anyway, looking at this week's work, we're in the 10th through the 16th. That's incorrect to say the 11th. So I'm going to fix that. It is 10:10 through 10:16. And this week we're going to be looking at chapter 16, which is also a portion of your presentation. So it's also talking about the topic of presentations. Oh, actually, I take that back. This chapter is dealing with employment communications. Sorry. So you will be writing your resume this week. And hopefully you already have a resume made and you can just update it per what we talk about in the course. But anyway, you're going to be looking at, there's a PowerPoint right here, a document here on how to write the best resume ever. There's, of course, a check-in assignment on Chapter 16, a PowerPoint presentation of Chapter 16. There's an example of a resume here. And then, of course, you have a quiz on Chapter 16. You have a couple little low point homework assignments here. You have your next exam this week. And then, of course, you have your first writing assignment, which is a resume and a cover letter. And so make sure you read through that. This is a heavy week as well. But let me know if you have any trouble with any of that. A lot of these little homework things are very simple. It's just one of them is talking about diversity in the workforce, and the other one is how to nail the job interview. So make sure you do those little homework assignments. They probably take 10 minutes each to do, but all the rest is routine. But yeah, by the end of this week, you need to upload your resume. and your cover letter. And let me just say a couple things about the cover letter. Cover letter and resume should be based off of a specific job. So I believe part of the assignment is that you need to find a job that you would like to get or that you would like to apply for, that you feel like you're qualified for. On your cover letter, make sure that you format it like a letter, even though we've not talked about that much yet. I'll give you some grace on that, but go to the appendix of your book and format it like a letter should be formatted. And then make sure that your application letter follows the instructions given in your book, which is basically the first paragraph is how you heard about the job. Second and third paragraph are all about how your skills and experience relate to the job. And then the last paragraph is basically asking for an interview and requesting that and giving the person who's reading it the easiest way and the best way to get a hold of you right there in your letter. On your resume, make sure your resume is formatted in the same way that your book presents. Usually it starts with a contact information title block at the top. Then it gets right into your usually your objectives, and then your skills, and then your experience, and then your education, or education, then your experience. And that's pretty much it. If you have anything special, you can add it. You don't need to say anything about references. You don't need to say references available upon request. It's already assumed that if they need references, they'll be able to ask you for those. So make sure you follow all the rules for doing a resume that your book presents, and you'll do great on this assignment. So anyway, that's this week coming up. So make sure you get a head start and start looking at that. Like I said, hopefully most of you have a resume already written, and then you can just take the rules that you learn in this chapter and apply it to your existing resume. However, I will say this, that when you are searching for a job, you want to tailor your resume and tailor your cover letter for that specific job. You want to use some of the words that they use in the job description in your resume and in your letter. You want to make sure that you specifically mention the job that you're applying for within your cover letter, because they might have 10 different jobs open, and you just say, I'm applying for your open job. Well, they might go, which one? So make sure you specifically state which job you're looking for, etc. So those are just some quick general rules about it, but that's what you're going to be working on this week. Again, if for some reason you did not get to upload your individual presentation, you still have the rest of this week as well to get that uploaded before I start penalizing you. Please, please, please get a hold of me if for some reason that you are having trouble doing that. And also, I want to draw your attention to the Zoom session that I did, or I will be doing. I think I already did it, on doing a writing assignment. So I don't know what I did with it. I'll have to make sure it gets there. But this week, in this week's thing, I will put up here the PowerPoint that I did on writing, business writing, and I highly, highly recommend that you watch that. On all of the rest of this class, you're going to be doing business documents. You're going to be writing a memo, an email, a letter. They need to all be formatted appropriately for the type of document they are, and that you need to follow all the rules. It's going to be in chapter 6, actually, about where you get into what they call navigational design through readability, improving readability through navigational design. And this is where you're going to be using things like bullet lists and headings and bold text and italicized text, short paragraphs. Your document should never be all one paragraph. It should be multiple short paragraphs. Again, making sure that it's all formatted properly. So I went over all this in the Zoom session already. I'll make sure that is, I don't know where it is right now, but I'll make sure that is listed in this week's module as you're going to be doing your resume. Definitely want to use bullet lists and headings on your resume. And then as we get into next week's documents, we're going to be looking at how to format a letter and a memo, and that'll get you started on that stuff. So anyway, that's it for this week. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and keep up